Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Safety Study Group's channel on Instagram and on YouTube, inshallah. So this is a new step. Every day we'll be talking about different topics, inshallah, from 5 minutes to 7 minutes. So I hope this is going to be useful to everybody. Today we will talk about something really important, and it is lifting. Let's talk about lifting. Hi guys, thanks for joining. Let's talk about lifting operations and what kind of hazards are associated with lifting. Okay, so lifting. There is one category of hazards that is always available there. It's easy to remember it. So MEEP, M-E-E-P. Material, equipment, environment, and people. These are the hazards that you have to always keep in mind whenever you're doing anything, any kind of job. Always keep this in mind. Okay? Material. Is there any toxic, any flammable, any explosive material, anything that can hurt you? Equipment. What equipment are you using, or what equipment are available around you in that job site? Environment. Is it rainy? Is it foggy? Is there lightning? Lightning? Is there high wind? Is the environment busy? Like you have a lot of jobs here, working at height, confined space. You're working here, a lot of machinery moving around. So this is all considered to be in the environment, in the working environment. And of course, people. Because as we know, common sense is not common practice, and that's why accidents happen. We don't blame the worker, but that is sometimes that is just it. So let's talk about lifting. Before you do any lifting, before you consider doing the lifting, ask yourself this: is this crane right for the job? Yes. Okay. Is it up to date? Yes. How do we know? We check the inspection record. We make sure that it is within 1 year of inspection. It still has time. It's not expired. Is the crane going to be used to lift people? Yes. Okay, if we're going to use it to lift people with the man basket and stuff, then the inspection should be within 6 months. Okay? But if it's not for people, it's just for equipment, 1 year is compliant with the law. So that is all good. Now, before we do the actual lift, before we do anything, we have to get the permit to work. We have to make the risk assessment. We have to do the lifting plan. We have to get the JSA. We have to have the pre-job safety meeting. We have to do this. We have to do that. Okay, so we got all the paperwork ready. Everything is good. Now let's go work. No, we don't go to work immediately. We need to make sure that the area is ready for us to work. Okay, so the crane operator knows that the area is ready. What he does now is gets on the crane, starts the crane, and goes there. This is a big machine. You have to make sure you drive on good roads. When you go and set up the crane, you have to make sure there are no overhead hazards like power line hazards or anything. There are no power line hazards. There are no structures near you. You need to consider the wind. You need to consider when you're moving the equipment or the load, let's call it. When you're moving the load, it's not going to be hitting anything or anybody. You need to make sure there are no people working around you. Or in the swing area where the crane is going to be moving the load, that is the swing area. There is no operations going on there. When you are set up for the lift, basically this means that the outriggers are open. The outriggers are open, fully extended. You have the pads, everything. You set up the outriggers on the pads, and you make sure you're not beside any excavations or any confined spaces or anything. So the crane doesn't tip over or nothing bad happens. Okay, so before you do the lift, you need to inspect the lifting gear, make sure it's good. Before you lift the load itself, you need to inspect the lifting points, make sure it's color-coded. Color-coded, basically, we'll explain this later, but color-coded, make sure that it's good and it's not damaged or anything. It's within the receiving messages on the group. It's within the agreed upon color code for that month. Okay, so everything is good. Now we have to do the rigging. Before we do the rigging, we need to have people that have working at height training to do the rigging. If you are going to use a man basket, or a man lift to do the rigging, then we need to have somebody that has had working at height training and a proper operator with training, certified or competent. We need to have them drive the people in the man lift or the scissor lift or whatever lift. Drive them, take them up. He makes a connection. Okay, he makes a connection. It's good. Now move on to the other lifting points. Do the same thing over all the lifting points. Okay. Now before the lift happens, the language between the operator and the banksman is a sign language. Sign language. The signs may vary between one company to another, but they need to make sure. Let me just mute that for a minute. Okay, so the sign of communication between, or the communication method between the operator and the banksman is sign language. So they need to sign to each other. Okay, now lift. Okay, lift. Move it to the right, move it to the left, whatever. It's there now. Okay, lower the lift. It's lowering the lift now. Okay, it's lowering the lift. It's lowering the load. Now it's in place. But before all of that happens, we need to make sure that nobody is around that area. Nobody is under the load. Nobody is touching the load. You need to have taglines. You need to have everything. You need to have this. You need to have that. And once you put it down on the ground, you need to make sure that nobody is clear there. Nobody touches the load until it is at chest level or waist level. It depends on where you are from, but I prefer waist level. Once they are by your waist, then you can touch the load, and you can guide it by your hand. Maybe turn it a little bit to the left, to the right. It's up to you. Once that happens, you set the load down easily. You set it correctly. It's done. The basket comes back. The man lift comes back. Get rid of the rigging, and that's it. You're done for today. You're done for this job. But guys, we need to make sure that a lot of things happen before we start and we finish. Like, we inspected the rigging, we inspected all of that, but is it within the safe working limit? Okay, it has to be. The SWL has to be matching, and it has to be good. Also, there is a crushing point, there is pinch point, there are a lot of hazards involved with lifting operations. Obviously, I cannot cover all of them in 5 minutes or in 3 minutes, but there are, for every job there are hazards and risks, and for each hazard and risk there is a control measure or a mitigation measure to make sure that the hazard or the risk is reduced to the minimum level, and that is acceptable for us to be working with. Did I forget something? Absolutely, I did forget something, because there are a lot of hazards, like drop hazards. The load may fall. There are mechanical failures. There are untrained people. There are lack of procedure for lifting operations. There is no lifting plan, no risk assessment, no this, no that. So basically, what we need to do is we need to have the proper people do the statement, the method statement, do the risk assessment, do all of that, have a proper pre-job safety meeting, and explain to everybody what their roles are. And this way you will not have accidents, and inshallah you will all be blessed and protected. And from now until today, I hope from now until tomorrow, I hope you all stay safe. If you missed this video, it's going to be available on Instagram and on YouTube. If you're watching it on Instagram, subscribe to YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube, follow me on Instagram. Until tomorrow, I'll see you, inshallah.